Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ISV Society podcast. I'm so excited for my guest this week. We have Asher Mathew, CEO at Partnership Leaders. Welcome, Matthew, to the ISV Society podcast. Asher. Sorry.
All good, Amy.
Oh, my goodness.
I, I don't know if the audience actually knows how long we've known each other, but we've known each other forever. So it's great
We
to see you.
have. It is great to see you too. And it's been a long time coming since I've asked you to be a guest. I keep having it in the back of my mind. And I'm like, I got to ask Asher. I got to ask Asher. So
All good.
finally I did. And you're like, yeah, I'll be a guest. I'm like, awesome. Because we
Uh,
could talk about a lot of things, especially partnerships, because obviously we both have a passion for those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And great to see you're doing well. And the work that you're doing with the ISV Society is is needed and then congrats on it.
Thank you. Same here. You have grown Partnership Leaders exponentially over the last year. I feel like it's exploded, which we will dive into a little bit. But
Yeah.
first, I would love for the audience to get to know you and tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So in my current role, I'm the CEO of Partnership Leaders. I'm also one of the founders of Partnership Leaders. And my journey started off, I'm an immigrant to the country, and my journey started off as going to school for computer science and then moving to sales. And then I was fortunate to be part of a couple of acquisitions and then go public with the company that we were both at,
Mm-hmm.
called Avalara. And then my big hypothesis was to move to the Bay Area to learn the go-to-market playbook that most startups and scale-ups are using. And uh, and then I found myself at a point in my life where I questioned, where do all the partnership leaders go to learn about the best practices and share their success stories and share their failure stories? And there wasn't. So I took the B2B playbook that I've learned and applied it to a domain that I understand well, where I have some connections, because there's a big need to recognize, celebrate, and support the partnership leaders. And that's how I ended up as CEO of Partnership Leaders.
That's very exciting. And I feel like partnerships, as you know, because we've both been into a very long time, is the key to anything, right? Building
Yeah.
that relationship and having partnerships, no matter who it is. It could be partners, ISVs, customers, fellow colleagues. Everybody should be, partnerships should be at the top of everybody's list,
Yep. Yep.
I think.
Well, and they are, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the stats, the the number one role or in demand role for that LinkedIn published is the chief growth officer. And if you look at the attributes of the chief growth officer, the top two are partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 27 is also head of partnerships. And then if you look at the local results from the same polls, then and I just looked at Seattle's, and partnerships was number 9, but the first one was director of growth. And if you looked at growth, it was partnerships and marketing.
Yeah.
And so there are roles where you have partnerships dedicated to dedicated people that are working on partnerships, and then there are your roles where you have partnerships and something else.
Yeah. So that kind of dives into our first question,
Yeah.
partnerships. There are all different types. Can you go into that, elaborate on that?
Yeah. So where I've landed with this question is to keep things simple. There are 3 engines for a company, right? There is the company engine where sales, marketing, customer success, and partnerships lives today. There is the product engine where engineering and product and UX and all that group lives. And then there's the company engine where the CFO, the legal, the chief legal officer, the chief human resources officer, like that function, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and to me, there are company engine partnerships that you can build, which often results in investments, right?
Yep.
But the two that we know of really well are the product partnerships, which result in co-building product, and then there are customer partnerships, which result in co-selling, co-marketing, and co-serving. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you look at it from what you're building, which is a company, and then you look at the 3 different portions of a company, or a B2B company, then those partnerships become very clear depending on what you want to do in which part of the company.
Love that. Yeah. So yeah, so partnerships are the key or the foundation of everything, I feel like, It's especially in a company, outside a company, whatever it may be.
Yeah, yeah. So if you think about it, the partnerships have a horizontal impact based on what I just shared. And if you think about it, AI also has a very horizontal impact.
Mm-hmm.
It's a higher priority impact today because it focuses on helping efficiency
Yep.
of a business. But if you took AI away in the current macro environment, partnerships would be number one,
Yeah. And you don't
right?
need
A number
AI
one
for
priority.
partnerships.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's a win.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Like partnerships are very horizontal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in regards to the direction of the ecosystem, how has it evolved?
Yeah. Yeah. So what's happened over the last 6 years or so is there has been way more technology created than technology consumed, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you think about it, there's been lots more workloads that have moved to the cloud, and people have taken on these digital transformation initiatives, and companies have taken on the initiatives, and so you have a world where you have companies who have moved their operations to the cloud, and you have apps that have been created, like lots and lots and lots of apps that have been created,
Mm-hmm.
right? And especially in the zero interest rate environment, you had tons of cash out there, and people were getting funded left and right to create apps. Now, inherently, as users, you and I think in workflows because we think about what our day looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about what our day looks like, we think about the features from all of these different apps that we need to use to get our jobs done well. And so all those apps have to talk to each other.
Yes.
And so when they have to talk to each other, they have to be integrated.
Mm-hmm.
You could integrate them yourselves. You could integrate them. Other people can create integrations. There's like a number of different ways to create this product partnership. So what happened is that what has happened is there has been a bigger need for integrations, both of new technology and legacy technology. There has been a need to move workloads or business processes into the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
New business models have been introduced. And so what's happened is there's a bigger opportunity to, a bigger need for product partnership people than your traditional go-to-market partnership people.
Interesting.
And and so all of a sudden, the people that were creating integrations and working on integrations became way, 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 way more popular.
Yeah.
The problem was there's very few of them to start off with. And as the world continued over the last couple of years, large companies realized that they need to go and work with all the other applications inside of their customers, regardless of how big or small those companies are. So they needed partner people that were more product oriented than go to market oriented.
Interesting.
And so you had like over the last couple 24 months, a number of channel leaders that were asked to retire. And I think it's because those channel leaders were amazing at commercial models and deploying resources to manage a channel.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you look at the product partnerships and you look at the product partnerships network, if you want to call it, there weren't enough people that could do that. And so companies said, okay, we need a executive that understands both and is also focused on optimizing relationships, right? Because if you look at a
Mm-hmm.
CRO, the CRO is optimizing revenue. That's that person's job.
Yep.
If you look at a chief marketing officer, that person's job is to optimize markets. Where are we going to play? Where we're not going to play? What messaging? What offers? And then you look at the partnership leader or the modern partnership leader. That person has to optimize relationships. I used to say monetize relationships, which is like when you and I used to work together back in the day. I used to use that word, but I think optimizing relationships is actually the better way to say it, because you can't build a relationship with everybody.
No,
Your personal life is a proof of that, right? It just doesn't work. And
right,
so for your business life, you need to work on optimizing relationships. And so you need leaders who can look at the channel as a very go-to-market function. You need to look at the health of that channel and to make sure that they're successful. So you need to provide programs and services that they're healthy with. But you also need to look at the product partnership side and say, what does my roadmap look
mhm,
like to support people building with me or on top of my platform? And what do I do to go build with others?
right,
Because my customer's asking for one company to support me, not 7 different companies. And so where we've come now, to sum it up, we are in a world where you have partnership leaders that are very savvy, both on the commercial side, which is the go-to-market partnerships, and savvy on the product side. In my humble opinion, then if you're doing that, you should be elevated from a channel chief to a chief partner officer, and you can have a buy, build, partner conversation because you're already on that path.
right. Love it. So would you say then that partnership leader has to have both of those functions now?
They do. So
Yeah.
modern partner teams,
Okay.
if you are a leader at and let's call it an innovative startup, or even at some of the larger companies are doing this, right? What they're doing is they are bringing the different types of partners together under a chief partner officer.
Okay.
And it's a trend right now. We just did a report called the State of Platforms, and we have data in there that shows the unification of the services in the app marketplace. We have the unification of the different partner teams under a leader. We have some leaders now reporting directly to the CEO, right? So all this change is happening, and I think it's a transformative journey that we're on, because there are macro trends that warrant this change.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, you can get lucky by putting an amazing product out there, but we both know for you to achieve scale, you need a macro trend that a lot pushes you into the market and into success. And so uh, I feel like, and actually I believe this is our time to upscale, up level ourselves as partnership leaders and drive the change required internally at companies, and then go become a senior executive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Great way to move up the ladder.
Yeah. I mean, and it's very natural. It's not forced,
Right.
and 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 maybe it's not applicable to all the companies out there, but it's certainly applicable to every company that requires integrations.
Yes. Yeah. Which a lot of them do.
Yes.
At least the ones that I work with.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So obviously this podcast is called the ISV Society Podcast. So
Yep.
why is partnerships important for ISVs?
Yeah. So ISVs have a challenge, right? So in the early stage of your company, you need to find product market fit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you have two ways to get to product market fit. You can say, I am going to go and spend a bunch of advertisement money and attract a bunch of people to me and my product that I'm thinking about. And I will get to scale or get to product market fit by just trying to close as many as I can and then try to renew as many as I can. And somewhere in there, I'll build an amazing product. The other way to do this is I am going to go sell direct, but also look for partners who can sell my product. And whichever route got me to customers first validated the need for my product.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go do it through a partner who wants to keep selling your product, not only did they validate your product because they sold it to their customers, but they also created another revenue stream called partnerships.
Right.
And so you have benefit of both. Now, if that doesn't work, and you went direct in a different segment of the market, you still were able to find product market fit, right?
Yep.
So that's, I would say, the early stage conundrum that you need to solve for. Then you move to mid stage, and let's call this growth stage. And at growth stage, you say, well, I am now looking to expand my business into different countries. I also want to expand my business to other parts of a customer's business.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to think about what my second or third product would be. Right. And so if you want to expand to different parts of the world, rather than going there yourself, you can use partnerships. And
Exactly.
if they are working well, there's no need to put your direct teams there if your customers are happy with buying and being served through those partners,
Mm-hmm.
right? Again, you just create a very efficient company that generates a lot of cash that returns it back to the stakeholders, because that's what capitalism is all about, right? Like you have to get cash,
Yep.
generate cash, give it back to stakeholders, right? So if we think about it from that angle, you want to expand into different markets for growth, you go do it through partnerships. You want to expand to different industries, you go do it through partnerships. You want to even enter different segments of the market. Maybe you play in SMB and you want to go to
Mm-hmm.
enterprise, or you play in enterprise and you want to come to the SMB. You leverage partnerships, and that's the growth story, right? And then the last piece is the scale story, where if you are a very large company and you are now saying, look, I'm hitting a plateau in my growth, I do need to come up with other products, or I need a defense mechanism, then people building on top of you allow you to extend your value proposition
Mm-hmm.
and give you insight into what else you could build. And also, you could go acquire one of those companies to help you get to the next uh, to the next stage of your growth. So it's interesting to see the different use
Yeah.
cases, but if you look at it from a pure angle of growth at lower cost, you know,
Yeah.
then you utilize this methodology to get to product market fit, to grow, and to scale.
I have to say, the last couple of years when I've been going to events, there's definitely been an influx of companies coming from other countries, which never really happened in the past, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are definitely trying to expand their growth, which is awesome. I love seeing that. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So to wrap it all up, obviously, we'd love to hear about partnership leaders. What do you do? What's the direction, the focus?
Yeah.
How, if someone was interested in learning more,
Yeah.
what should they do? So yeah,
Yeah, I'll tell a little bit of story. I know we have a few minutes left,
no
and
worries.
I think
Take your
it's
time.
actually timely as well. And because you have known me for a very long time of my life, right, which I'm very grateful for. The way back in the day, when we were both in the Dynamics ecosystem, right, and you were working for Blue Moon, is it, and I was
Yes.
working for Notice, right?
Yes.
And back then, even and I'm sure we talked about this, because I definitely talked about this with everybody that I could possibly talk about this, right? There was no place for the emerging sales professionals in the Dynamics world to go connect with each other, learn best practices, share success stories, share failures, right?
Right.
So that need was not met there. So I created the Microsoft Dynamics Sales Professionals LinkedIn group, and LinkedIn had just started back then. And there's about 2,000 people in that still. So there is a community that exists for Microsoft Dynamics sales professionals who all connect with each other still. And given that it's LinkedIn, you do not have all the bells and whistles of a very rich multimedia platform, but at least the connections are still there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So let me fast forward a little bit further, and you go to WPC 13, right? Microsoft Worldwide Partner Conference. And that conference has 20 or 30,000 people. And if you think about it, the emerging leaders that go to that conference don't have any
Yep.
material content that helps them become seasoned or senior leaders. And so Katie Quigley and Phil Surgeon and Carl Noakes, all these amazing people were very grateful for giving me some time in WPC 13 schedule. And we had Steve Clayton, who was Microsoft's chief storyteller. And we have Dux Raymond-Sai, who is the chief brand officer now for AvePoint, a very successful Microsoft partner. We had David Meerman Scott, who sat on the board of HubSpot. We had Peter Bauer, who's the CEO of Mimecast. He just announced his retirement. We had Susan Hauser, who led Microsoft's enterprise sales group back then. And then I spoke on stage with with Phil Sorgen about the need to cultivate leaders, and 1,000 people came to that session.
That's crazy.
Right? So that was another point in my life where I said, wow, well, here's another data point, technically solving the same fundamental problem that I was trying to solve in my notice days.
Yes.
Right? On top of my job, right? And so now fast forward that to post-lean data. And I found myself the same way. Like I became an exec, and then I'm looking for some resources to figure out how to build more stakeholder alignment, get budget, do resourcing. Like, how does this stuff actually work, and where's my group? And that did not exist. So if you say, where do all the partnership leaders hang out globally? That did not exist back then, right? The channel leaders existed, alliance leaders existed, but the people that work on product partnerships did not exist, right? And so we created this community for them. And then the market said, we need more of these people, right? So we got really lucky.
Yes.
Right? And so then we said, well, if you need more of these people, we need resources. We created a paid program. And so today, Partnership Leaders is the global partner community for alliances, channels, partnerships, ecosystems, business development professionals, and executives. If you identify as any one of those people, we are the home for you. Now, we have 1,500 paid members. They are in 42 countries.
That's awesome.
From about 1,000 companies. And those 1,000 companies are split between SMB, mid-market, and enterprise companies. We have some very modern enterprise companies, but also traditional brands like Honeywell and GE Healthcare and stuff. So, and now we're making a move into B2C partnerships, because we are partnership leaders, right? Like, think about it this way. When we started the company, partnershipleaders.com was available. This is how underserved that market segment of the market was. And so we got very lucky with COVID. We got very lucky with efficient growth, which is the second wave that we're supporting. And then now we have, because Microsoft and SAP recognize the chief partner officer role, we believe it is our job to produce 2,000 plus CPOs in the marketplace, because there are 813 that exist today.
Yep.
Compared with 5,200 chief customer officers, compared with 34,000 chief revenue officers, and somewhere close to 76,000 chief marketing officers today, like those, like as of today's data from LinkedIn. And so that's the journey we're on. We want to do everything for partnership leaders.
That's exciting.
There's 3 million people out there.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to learn more, obviously we'll put the link in the show notes. We'll give them all that information. Certainly they can reach out to you, but it's definitely a great community. I love what you're doing. Kind of why I started the ISV Society, because there isn't just a community just for ISVs either.
Yeah.
ERP agnostic, everything.
Yeah, and it's much needed, right? Because there is no SI society.
Right.
Similarly, there's no agency. Maybe there's some agency societies. Actually, there are some agency societies, right? But there was, if you remember, there was another lady who ran a newsletter back when we were at Notice. I forget her name, but but there was one newsletter that focused on ISV content, but it was again very specific to Dynamics only, not even like and actually probably specific to Great Plains, not even all of
Yes.
Dynamics,
There
right?
was there was the ISV collective back then.
Okay.
There was like a group of ISVs. It was called that.
Okay.
Maybe that
Yeah,
was the
but
newsletter. I don't know.
yeah, there was one lady who actually wrote, and I think she lived in Fargo or somewhere on the East Coast, but it was very Great Plains oriented. It was not Solomon Exapta or Navision oriented at all. But ISVs as a whole, still, if you think about it, there's no global community of
Mhm.
ISV professionals. We would probably be the closest to it, but we are focused on partnerships, right? We're not
Right.
focused on ISVs. When you focus on ISVs, you need to think about what does the CEO of an ISV need? What does the CMO of an ISV need? What does the chief customer officer of an ISV need? What does the CFO of an ISV? Like there's all the latest and greatest ISV business model. Hey, Amy, that could be your colleague.
It could be my calling. I got to think about this now.
Yeah. I mean, there are at least 500,000 ISVs out there. They're all listed on the Google AWS's marketplace.
That could be my next direction.
Yeah, yeah. I think you've got the podcast, you've got the newsletter. I'm assuming you can build the community. We'll support you building a community. How about that, right? Like
Okay.
because we have resources and we created PL to be on this mission for partnerships. Although we would probably do justice to just the partnerships section of your world, but
Okay.
this could be a thing for you.
It could be. I have to look into that now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And thank you again for being on my podcast. I'm so excited we get to chat and catch up. So excited for partnership leaders and the growth and the trajectory that's going and how you're helping everybody in this ecosystem just get better at their job and roles and creating more of those partnerships that we need in the ecosystem to help drive growth. So thank you.
Super. Well, thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone for tuning in this week on the ISV Society podcast. Truly do appreciate it.